Get ready for this, Stevie. A move that doesn't involve Julian Alvarez.
Really?
Pedro Neto looks like he is heading to Chelsea for 63 million euros. Gab is still with us, Frank as well. What should we do first, Gab? Pedro Neto, or what the heck are Chelsea doing and where they're getting all this money from?
I'll get this. Look, we always talk about, incorrectly I think, about do these people have money? Do they not have money? Everybody has money. You can always find money. I mean, they're all owned by billionaires. The issue is, are you allowed to spend the money? Can you spend the money without consequences of falling foul of financial fair play, of profit and sustainability rules and whatnot? And where I'm looking at this, and of course there's a month ago, seems to me like Chelsea are going to need to balance their books big time. Now, that said, they have a very clear approach in terms of hoovering up young players. Obviously, Pedro Neto not so young, but some of the other guys that they've brought in or could be bringing in, like Omar Odion, are players who fit that bill, guys they signed before, of course. And the idea is simple. You bring these guys in when they're very young. That way you can pay them less money because they're on smaller contracts. Because they're on smaller contracts, if things don't work out, you can easily shift them. You amortize their wages over years, and then you keep turning a profit in terms of player trading. That's the main idea. It is a very, very risky concept in my view, because if you get a couple of these wrong, or if you can't shift players for whatever reason, or players figure out and start demanding more money to come to Chelsea, then you get stuck. And especially if at the same time you're not getting the revenue because you're not qualifying for the Champions League and you haven't built your 60,000 seat stadium. So it's certainly a gamble. Let's see where they are when the chips are down. For now, they've taken this approach. I think they have to be consistent with this approach and see if their young players, who are already there and the ones who can come in, whether they can produce. And then there's a whole other, financial books balancing side to it, where I think we have to suspend judgment until the window closes.
But Gab, they have so many players.
Well, they do. And of course, there's players that, they can send out on loan. They have a lot of young players, and they have players where if they need to whittle the squad down, from their point of view, it's not difficult, right? If somebody comes and says, hey, do you want Malo Gusto? People are going to say, sure. And they'll get their money back for him, plus a little bit, because he's improved over the years. And without bringing the A-word, the amortization world, boom, you've generated money out of nothing. Plus all the kids from the youth academy. We've seen it from, there's Amari Hutchinson, boom, 20 million. Conor Gallagher, 40 million, or however much that ends up being. So, they're very confident they can shift those players. They can send those players to Strasbourg. At some point, obviously, he's not going to work with a 40-man squad. He's going to want, Enzo Maresca, that is, he's going to want 22, 23, 24 senior players. And that's the approach. But for now, they want to allow him to evaluate what they have. And I find it odd the way you find it odd. I mean, how many freaking wingers do you need? And here's Pedro Neto. He's another one, right? So, again, there's got to be a method there, right?
You'd expect so. There's got to be some sort of method to the madness, because from the outside looking in, it just looks crazy. It's interesting, Stevie, of course, when you were playing, it was a much smaller squad.
Yeah.
But we talk about Chelsea and we compare them to the successful sides, like Real Madrid, Manchester City. They have a spine. There's a core group of players there that they're built around. This Chelsea team doesn't seem to have that. And how do you even try and establish that when you've got so many players vying for the same positions?
Well, it doesn't make any sense. You try and build a culture, you try and build a squad, and most managers have probably 15 or 16 that they think are going to be their players. Plus, most good sides have 3 or 4 who are the cornerstone of the whole team. And when we talk about Chelsea, they have none of those things. And, I mean, people like Mudryk, for example. How is he ever going to develop into a proper player who can play consistently game in, game out, week in, week out, when he's in and out all the time? And it's going to be the same. I mean, Neto's going to be the same. And Neto's going to be the same because, A, he can't keep fit anyway. So he's going to miss 20, 25 games a season, which he has done the last, 3, 4 seasons. So they're never going to get settled. They just buy people for... Apparently they think they need them.
It's fantasy football.
Well,
that's what it is because...
Here, just one second. Here's the rule, right? This should always be the rule for every single team, right? When you buy a player for a position, he better be better than the one you've got.
Right.
Well, in my opinion, Pedro Neto plays on the right-hand side, and guess what? Your best player plays on the right-hand side, and Cole Palmer. Now, are you going to move Cole Palmer? And why would you move Cole Palmer? When the guy's scoring over 20-odd goals a season and got assists for fun, you're going to really move him and start him somewhere else? I mean, there's no sense to it.
See, to that point, when Stevie's saying you buy players who are better than what you've got, it doesn't make any sense what Chelsea are doing, because you can't sit here and tell me Badger Shield is better than Chalobah, but they'll be moving him on because he's a homegrown player. You can't tell me that Dewsbury Hall or Lavia are better than Conor Gallagher. He's just moved on to balance the books. So when you look at Chelsea and you look at 5 minutes ago they signed Madueke, 5 minutes ago they signed Mudryk, but they're sort of, unless the manager and the hierarchy have made their opinions double quick and they're signing Neto, and you've got Raheem Sterling, and you've got Nkunku, and you've got Nicholas Jackson. To me, it's sort of like, it's fantasy football where I don't really get the method, because you're not buying in players who are better than what you've got. You're just buying a bunch of players. You think, oh, well, hopefully a manager might make them stick and might get them to perform, but none of it makes any sense in terms of improving the team or improving the squad.
Gab, this seems to be the rhetoric from pretty much everyone you talk to who's got football experience. Where are those people within Chelsea with that same experience to put their hands up and say, wait a minute, maybe we should just not do this?
Well, look, I mean, there's Paul Winstanley and Lawrence Stewart, who are essentially they're co-sporting directors. They have many years of experience in football, and they've been very successful. Winstanley at Brighton, Stewart at Monaco with the Red Bull organization. So they have people there who know what they're doing, who have been with the best of the best. The manager, too, Enzo Maresca, obviously didn't create this system. It predates him, but, you know, he was Pep Guardiola's assistant. He did get Leicester promoted last season. You know, he didn't fall out of the coconut tree, so to speak. So, look, I think obviously he's had to accept this approach. I think in terms of Neto, I think they see him as somebody who can play on either wing. He is left-footed. Maybe you don't necessarily want an inverted winger. Maybe you see Cole Palmer as a number 10. I think that would probably be a more logical position for him. Although, of course, you also have Nkunku, who really should be your number 10. So beats the heck out of me. Like I said, I think that they want to go out and they want to do things differently from the way other clubs have done it, right? They're trying to innovate. They're saying we can try to do the same as everybody else and do it better, but that's difficult. So let's try to do things differently. I personally think I don't see how this is going to work financially, but hey, prove me wrong. I mean, the transfer window's open for another 3 weeks now in August. Maybe somebody comes along and gives you $100 million for Sterling, and the same for Lukaku, and presto, you balance your books. Or maybe you can do a whole bunch of other swaps to balance the books. Maybe somebody will give you $50 million for Carney Chukwuemeka. I don't know. Is the answer. I don't know how this is going to work financially. If you take the financial side out of it, as an experiment, saying we're going to assemble all the best young talent because we're going to build a squad differently, and we're going to be guided by the talent that we have rather than diktats coming from on high from the manager or whatever, I'd say, hey, this is an interesting project. I want to see how it works out. But then, of course, there's also the financial side of it. And from where I sit now, August 9th, I don't see how this is going to work. But maybe they can do it. Maybe there's a plan.
Frank, if you were back in the days, back in the Chelsea squad, how would you feel about all of this going on around you?
As a player, I would be worried because I would be with a bunch of teammates who are so inexperienced that it's scary. The first point is, I'm at the point where I think Neto is a good signing, even if he's going to be, as he's been for Wolves, many times injured. When he plays, he's a very good player. But 60 million is a lot. But let's say that I'm at the point where, Finally, somebody with a little bit of experience. But if we talk about the balancing the books, I want to understand how you get the money back from signing a Mudryk, a Caicedo, even Enzo Fernandez. How do you get that money back? You will have to find more stupid people that you already have at the board to buy somebody, because I think nobody wants them above the price that they've been bought. So unless I know nothing about football, I want to say to the Chelsea board, hire me. I swear, I will save you hundreds of millions of pounds every year by signing other players that you are signing right now. And I'm sure in balancing the books, I'm sure I'm going to get the player that you're going to buy less, that you're going to sell them. Because right now it's impossible. Tell me that who's going to buy, for example, a Mudryk, 80, 90, 100 million? Who's going to buy Caicedo, 120, 130, 100, 200 million? Nobody. I want to see the guy who's ready to buy those players. It's impossible. So they are stuck with them. Good luck with them. Carry on like that. You're going to kill the club.
Can we get Gab's starting 11? This is who he thinks at the moment could start for the opening game, of course, for Chelsea. You look at it, Don, and you kind of think, is this side, is it good enough to make a statement in this Premier League?
No. Just because they've spent 200 million on Caicedo and Enzo Fernandez, that can blur your vision a little bit. And Nkunku needs a season where he's going to stay fit. Neto needs a season where he's going to stay fit. But we've watched them in pre-season. Reece James has not had a good pre-season. He's the skipper. Okay. So you probably know he's going to start. Cucurella, I would imagine, might start at left-back once he's fully fit. But I look at that team and I just think, where's the experience? Where's the
$1 billion?
Well, yeah, where's it gone? And the reason why, I said about fantasy football, is Brentford put a bid in for Mykhailo Mudryk of about 25 million, 30 million about 2 seasons ago. Arsenal put a bid in at like 60 odd, and then Chelsea went, no, we'll give you like 85. And it's like, you don't really know what you're doing. It's like Todd Bowley's going out and spending all this money. And it's like, if you're spending all this money on like the Drogbas and the Frank Lampards and the John Terrys and the Ashley Coles and the Ballacks and all the superstar players, you go, I absolutely get it. But the buy-in players where you think, these guys won't be at Chelsea in 2 years' time. Some of that starting 11 might not be at Chelsea in 3 or 4 years' time. There's nothing for Chelsea fans to try and grab onto. Arne Slot very quickly at Liverpool, he's been asked the question, where are your new signings? And I know it's slightly different, but it's a decent comparison. And he said, the squad that I've got and the individuals I've got, at the minute, I can't buy better than them. So he's not just going in the market and buying like 6 or 7 players that he doesn't really either want or not going to fit into his squad. He's being patient, where Chelsea just going out and playing fantasy football and just signing players left, right and centre.
And opposition teams can smell that, yeah, Stevie? If you're going up against a side you know is fractured.
Absolutely, yeah. You look at the side and you look at it on paper and you think, OK, they got some good players, but other than Palmer, nobody's getting anywhere close to what they're supposed to. And then you look at that back line scares me for fun. I mean, Badiashile and Fofana, I'm sorry. I think they overpaid for Fofana, no question, from Leicester. I don't think he's produced. I'm not so sure he will, ever. And, of course, Reece James, you don't know what's going to happen with him. Is he going to last? I mean, on paper, some good players, but as a unit, you don't mind playing against them.
Gab, you're pulling a lot of faces.
No, look, first of all, I didn't say this is going to be their starting 11 for the first game of the season.
That's exactly what I said. That's exactly what you told everyone, Gab. I saw it, you tweeted it, I saw it on your MySpace, Friends Reunited, everywhere.
Actually, the point is, Gab, that if you do change that 11, there's that back line, there's not a player that you can put in there that they've got that makes it any better.
I mean, the
Tosin guy, for example, the guy's bang average. So let's just take the back line, for example. You can't make any changes that makes it any better.
No. Look, I think this is the best case scenario 11 if everybody works out, right? This is where I think that they want to get to. I mean, to be fair to them, I think some of the signings they felt that they had to make. Neither of the 2 goalkeepers were particularly impressive last year, so they bring in another kid who's 22, and there'll be a competition, and they'll get some money back for Sanchez, or more likely for Sasha Petrovic. Omaradian, they had to get in another striker. I presume Neto's there because they have some sort of exit strategy for Raheem Sterling. They are gambling, okay? They're doubling down and they are gambling. And I think we have to accept that. They're trying to build a team in a very different way. It could blow up really, really badly in their faces. But I think it is interesting what they're trying to do. And what I can tell you about the players that they have signed over the last couple windows, those are players that every big club wanted. Those guys, as somebody put it to me, you know, they didn't just choose guys off the menu. They just bought the whole freaking menu. So these are very, very gifted young players. Now, the question is, can they grow? We'll see. But there is a strategy there. Believe me, it may not work out. It may be a bad strategy, but there is a strategy. And the other point is, people are saying, oh, they're buying players left, right, and center. They're buying kids left, right, and center. Right? They're not going out and buying ready-made footballers.
Pedro Neto is 24.
Part of the strategy. We have to. I'm sorry?
Pedro Neto is 24.
Okay,
he's
fine.
not a child.
But yes, and he comes from Wolves. And they think the transfer fee is ridiculous and whatever. But what I'm saying is they're not going out, they're not buying players or starting players from Paris Saint-Germain or Atletico Madrid or Liverpool or other big clubs. They're buying players who they think have a legitimate upside. I mean, that's generally been the profile of the player that they've bought. And that's in keeping with that strategy. Neto, I don't know, maybe some weirdo fetish obsession that Maresca has because he likes little people. I don't know about Neto, okay? But if you feel you need a left footer because somebody's leaving, fine.